What's your Race Out Legends? Welcome to the video. I am not alone. I'm joined by Big Papa Drock. Drock, what's up, bro? How you doing?
Yo.
How you like that intro? I tried to bring the...
Dude, I always love that. It gets me hyped.
I tried to bring it.
I feel like I'm in a wrestling match. Like I'm about to jump in there.
Yeah, dude, you are entering the ring, my friend. You need the...
I want to literally stand up, rip my shirt off, expose my large...
The question is, are you ready? I want to see something like that.
Yeah. You need the posse, the ladies on the side, you know. Today we've got a good one today. We did a collab talking about a year in review in 2024 on your channel. You guys can check that out in the description below. But today, you know, we get a little backlash sometimes when we do the end game stuff. So I thought it'd be fun to bring an end game perspective to free loyalty login champions, right? The chase champions, if you will, right? So we won't do all of them. There's a lot. I think that like even Alexander, the sharpshooter, like no offense, but you know, we're not going to do them all. We're going to do our favorite, the best of the best in our opinion. And the best of the best might surprise some of you guys, unless you saw it on the thumbnail, then it won't surprise you. But we're going to give you our very best trending, cutting edge builds, how we see a lot of end game players, especially in Drock's case being top in live arena, build these champions. So we have not pre-discussed our builds with each other. We kind of divvied up some of our faves here. So you're the guest here, Drock. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down. Right. Just give me a champion and we'll start talking.
Well, yeah. Well, you chose UDK.
Oh, yeah, I did choose UDK. Yes.
So let's start with Ultimate Death Knight.
Let's start.
Do you think the Ultimate Death Knight still is the man? First of all,
I think he's still the man at certain levels.
Look, I'm a skeleton.
Though it's interesting how at the end game you don't see him nearly as much as you did because of the rise of mythicals. Like I feel like you'll see UDK every once in a while at the hyper end game whale level in arena, but you don't see him nearly as much as you used to. And this is specifically for live arena. Like you definitely still see him for classic, yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's like he's still really good. But there's in some ways more counterplay to what he does than there was previously.
Okay, I want to get into your favorite build on him. By the way, I should mention, even though we mentioned live arena a couple times now, we will also be covering PvE builds on a few of these champions that are not like live arena or arena specialists. So, Drock, how do you like building UDK? Because this is actually the only one, to be fair, that we did talk about a little bit. Yeah. And our builds are not the same. So I'll give you mine. I'm kind of rebuilding in the background, but I want to hear how you like building UDK.
So yeah, okay. So there's.
Or should I tell you mine first? Should I tell you why you didn't like mine?
It's not that I don't like yours. I think that yours can work at certain levels for sure.
Okay.
It's just the further along you get in endgame, the hard thing about the way you're building yours is it doesn't do what you think it would do as well as it should, I guess would be how I'm really dancing around this, by the way, but
yeah. I like him in high resist, super slow, stone skin 2-turn. Boom. I love him in the high resist because it's just annoying to deal with and you can't break through. You can't CC him. You can't sheep him, you know? So that's why I like him that way. But yeah, go ahead and tell me why, or what's your other favorite build and why don't you, it's basically the resist. It gets to a point where it's too easy to get accuracy and you can't build it with enough resist, essentially, right?
And the other thing is, like, it's all mythicals at the end game. You know what I mean? Like a Crixia comes in, rips his stone skin right off potentially. A Galathyr comes in, blows through his stone skin by ignoring resistance. Like that's the problem. Like I think that's actually a genuinely great build for the majority of levels. And it's not that it can't work against niche champions. Like it's still a really good counter. If you see a Sung Wukong who's more of a damage build, you can absolutely shut them down with that build for sure. It's just that you have to sacrifice so much in survivability to get the kind of resistance levels that you need at the ultra end game for that to be viable there. I mean, like you have to have basically 1,000 or more resistance on your UDK for it to reliably have a chance to resist stuff. And by the way, it's not going to resist a well-built Crixia. She's going to have way more accuracy power to rip through that. So then you're just relying on Stone Skin not getting stripped. And at that point, if it does get stripped, he's now so frail that he just gets blown up a lot easier. So
money, please.
I think that's still a super viable build for the vast majority of levels that are out there. And for sure, anything below endgame resistance UDK is awesome. I think I just tend to like more of the, let's make him super slow. So same kind of thing there. Let's make him 2-turn Stone Skin and let's make him
Super
ultra
tanky.
survivable and triple reaction no matter what. And I think he should be triple reaction basically all the time.
Okay.
For the most odds of success, because there are always niche examples that something might be different, but yeah.
I like that.
That's
Okay.
my difference.
Okay, that's a good call out on triple reaction because I had some stone skin on my build right now. So let's get this clear. We want, no matter what, your UDK is going to be very, very slow as humanly possible, right? So no speed, ideally, on him at all. It's going to be super, super tanky, obviously. If you're end game, you should probably just go survivability, triple reaction, and as much HP as you can muster, right?
Yeah.
And then if you're anybody else that's not super end game, build him with high resist, as much survivability as you can, triple reaction, and 6-piece stone skin slow on the top. That's good.
That triple reaction is that is what makes him special. Like that's what makes him such an incredible counter. And like I'll give you the stats on my build right now, how I build him. I've got him in triple reaction, 2-turn stone skin. He's got 136,000 HP. He's got 5,600 defense, and he still has resistance. He's got 589 resistance. So it's not enough resistance to be like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna totally resist everything, but it's enough where if someone has a little bit of accuracy, I don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
And most importantly, he's tanky enough to survive most stuff.
Okay. UDK in the books. I'm gonna go to Sun Wukong. Triple reaction, man. I was sleeping on that. I don't know why I was getting all clever with the and I should say, do you still go down resistance tree on defense as a tier 6 mastery on him?
As a tier 6
or do you
mastery,
not even bother? Yeah.
You know, let me actually look at what I have him in because I don't even remember what I put him in most recently. Actually, I've got him in Fearsome Presence.
Okay.
For a larger chance of placing like sheep debuffs.
Okay.
Or potentially also his provoke.
Fear.
Or fear. Like so that's what I've got him in right now. But you absolutely could do a resistance build on him for sure.
Okay.
I think that's viable. You know, the resistance mastery is certainly viable as well.
Okay, cool. Sun Wukong for the end game. I love my man Sun Wu. If you can pull it off, and the 9-piece Merciless, man. The 9-piece Merciless on Sun Wukong is insane. First of all, you don't need stone skin or anything like that. No survivability on Sun Wukong because he just comes back to life. He's got a 30% chance to decrease a random skill's cooldown by 1 turn when dealing damage, aka all of his abilities. The Staff of Wonder is insanely powerful, so get that decreased cooldown is bonkers. You get the 35% ignore defense. You get the 10% speed. You get the 30% crit damage. You get the 25% attack, and then the little monkey has a 15% chance to get an extra turn. So you've got a little reflex, you got a little relentless, you got some savage gear in there. You've got it all. He is probably my second favorite champion to run in 9-piece Merciless. I won't tell you my number 1 because I'm going to do a video on him tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to watch that because I'm curious to hear.
It's an old school legendary single target hitter, but I'm not going to say it. Don't guess because you'll guess it.
Okay, I'm not going to guess.
Why are we still here?
All right, Sun Wukong, what do you think of my build here? So obviously with those parameters, you know, you're going to probably struggle to find anywhere near as good 9-piece Merciless as you can on most accounts as a Savage and Lethal or however else you might want to build him. What do you think of this build and what do you prefer? And I go low accuracy, high nuke, basically.
Yeah, for sure low accuracy if you're going Merciless. I do think 9-piece Merciless is the best build for him, with the caveat that from an end game perspective, you need this champion to be so fast. Like this dude needs to be minimum 330, 340, 350 speed, ideally, and that can be really tough to do in full 9-piece Merciless. Not super tough, but you have to have really good end game.
Oh, my guy's way slower than that. He's at 282, which I thought was pretty damn fast, bro.
got pump those numbers up, Ash. Those are rookie numbers, baby.
I'm gonna ask you a dumb question then. Why does he have to be so incredibly fast for the? When I say end game, by the way, I mean like top 33% of the player base. When Drock says end game, he thinks top 1,000 in the world.
Top like 100, top 200. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about for sure.
What I'm saying though is unbeatable Wukong. He comes back with. I'm just gonna ask a dumb question, whatever. Yeah. He comes back with 100% turn meter. Obviously, that doesn't guarantee he goes next, but 100% turn meter. Like, why is speed that important on him?
That's literally part of the problem. 100% turn meter isn't 100% turn meter in this game. And if you come back with 100% turn meter, but you still have a slow Wukong, he will get lapped if you're facing a faster opponent. So it makes no sense. It's part of why does Raid not have a turn meter order so you can actually see what's going to happen?
Like King Arthur,
Like King Arthur, download King Arthur using Ash's link. But
not sponsored, not sponsored.
It's all about my bonus.
That's part of the problem, is that you need him to come back and take his turn right away. And if speed plays a role into that, where if he comes back, even at 100% turn meter, he's maybe not be able to pull that off, but also just being able to make sure that you can interrupt enemies' turn meter order. You know what I mean? If he's slow, he's not going to be able to get his attacks off. If he's fast, he has a chance of, after dying, coming back and doing damage. So, and you know what's crazy, Ash? When I got my 10 win streak in a row in Live Arena, I actually did it with Sun Wukong and Armands of all things, which I didn't think would work.
The dynamic duo. You never want to see those two going against
You never do. And I doubted them. I was like, oh, it's a world of mythicals. Clearly they can't compete anymore. I was so wrong.
Yeah.
But a big part of that was building him ultra fast. So like, if you can get him in 9-piece Merciless, and you can get him like 330, 340 speed. And again, this is like, for those of you watching, this is like, I want to have the best Sun Wukong that's ever existed, and he's +4, whatever else. So take this with a grain of salt. But that's where he does the most damage, because that A2 is just so filthy powerful. And if you don't have a counter like Harima, you're going to annihilate everyone. And that's exactly
disgusting.
What happens. You'll blow through people.
So many times I've been whacked by a player that clearly was not the spender that I am. By a Sun Wukong, it's just straight up, man. So for me, like my end stats would be a 280 speed with just shy of 7,000 attack and a 9-piece Merciless. Would you suggest I ditch the 9-piece Merciless and go with a faster build? Do you think I just try to get by with this? Yeah.
Yes. And I had the same problem, because my stats in a 9-piece Merciless were basically right around where yours were, maybe a little bit faster. But I was getting my butt beat. And I was like, dude, I can't get an attack off of this guy. He gets locked out. He gets whatever. Like, that's the other thing too. If someone locks you out, you need him to be able to come back around and get those turns in order to get through that. So I put him back into like a strict, like savage speed build, and also put pinpoint on him. Though only 2-piece in this case. I'd love to be able to put him in 4-piece pinpoint, just so I don't have to worry about getting sheeped on that A3 at all. But I needed that to get him up over 323, 330 speed, and it made a huge difference. It's
good advice for endgame players out there. So let's go Ninja. Let's go Ninja time.
Okay,
Ninja. Now this is your guy. I told you off air that like Ninja you can do, because I just run Ninja in like perception, basically. Like Ninja, because he's not a dynamic endgame arena champion, I don't feel the need to put him in my best gear. How do you run him, and what do you recommend others do?
Yeah, so it depends on what you're going to use him for. Like, what area of the game are you going into? I still think the overall best build for Ninja is probably Relentless. And you can do some really nasty stuff with Relentless in Hydra or in other game modes. I think even in Chimera, he's viable in that set, where you're just throwing out a ton of debuffs. You're exploding. You're getting escalation faster, so his attack goes up. So if I were building him and I wanted to build him with if I were building him for the most utility, like I want my Ninja to perform in the most areas, I want him to have the most viability, then I'm probably building him in Relentless. If you're really looking at Ninja not in a bunch of areas, you're just looking like, oh, I want Ninja to go into Arena, or I want Ninja to go into, like, maybe you're doing Sand Devil and Ninja, the old Godseeker team or stuff like that, then you're not going to use Relentless, because you don't want to, it's not worth it. You're going to take something like Savage or Pinpoint, and you're just going to build a ton of accuracy on him, and also still max crit rate if you're looking for Arena. But this is just like a champion that's really dependent on where you're using him in the game and what you're using him for, because his Arena builds are definitely way different in some ways than his Relentless builds, where you're really just prioritizing max speed, and still trying to crit cap him. But you want that Relentless build, not because you're looking at doing tons of damage from his ability, but you're looking at doing tons of damage from his burns and exploding those on bosses.
It's a great call. I agree with you. I would also say, I guess, just because Merciless is so freaking good, I suppose you could go Merciless and get the skill cooldown, the same thing, right?
Totally
because it has everything built into it, right? But I like Ninja. Similar to you, I have mine built very fast in just perception gear. I have a few like random spots on him too. I have him crit cap just for the extra damage, because it is nice to have the accuracy on him as well. But I agree with you that having those extra turns on Ninja are the way to go. So you can either get it through the Relentless or get it through the Merciless. So those are the masteries that I rock. Nothing too crazy. But next up on the list is going to be Artak. Oh, Artak.
This is how we bond.
You said you still don't use Artak a ton, but
I totally don't.
It's one of those things that, like, first of all, Artak should be, in my opinion, on almost everybody's list for a 2 or 8x blessing. Because you really want to eventually get to the point where you can build your Artak with emergency heal. Because with emergency heal and a blood shield ring, he can solo Ice Golem Hard 10. Like easily, you know, because he just keeps healing himself off of the shield. So he is, when you put him in, so my favorite build on him is regen immortal, a little bit of resistance if you can get it. And then you go with the emergency heal on this dude with the blood shield ring. It's so powerful. I mean, you can run him with just a shield champion on the team as well. But this allows him to, no matter what team I put together for Ice Golem Hard, I know the Artak is going to be able to finish things off. So it's just such a luxury to have. You just want to, again, get some resistance and get some HP on this champion and put him in the good old fashioned immortal in regen. So that's my favorite Artak build. However, I will say with this build, I can use him anywhere. You also want him fast. I have mine at 298 speed. Obviously, the faster, the better. I am sacrificing crit rate, crit damage, which, you know, it doesn't sound like a big deal because it's all coming from the burn activations. But he does have the escalating damage on his Burning Blood passive, so it's something that you could definitely build him to be a little bit more of a nuker with AoEs all over the place. Sometimes I also mule artifacts around on Artak, and I have an Artak, or I have a fast stun set for Centranos, right? Because he's also an AoE king, and he just so happens to be used or available in a bunch of Centranos areas. So I do use him as a stunner and a burner with accuracy as well. So I think that Artak is great, but I just use him basically anywhere that I need that burner who never dies. So that's hence the build.
That actually makes me feel good because I have him built in the stun set specifically for Cursed City content. And that's where I use him. Yeah. And I was like, okay, good. All right.
Yeah.
And I would done that one right.
And I would just throw him in Fearsome Presence. Right now I have Eagle Eye because I just wanted, I don't know where I was using him, but I wanted the extra accuracy. But obviously go with what build makes sense for you guys. War Master obviously works as well on Artak. But yeah, going down Fearsome Presence with Retribution and Deterrence and Harvest of Spare in a stun set is a very nasty combo for Artak as well. Who you got next here? Are you going to go, can I just call one out, or do you have one ready?
Yeah, call one out.
Okay. I want to know what you think of Loki.
Ooh.
This is a champion we almost didn't include on the list. Not that we hate him, but we didn't want to be here for 2 hours like we normally are. Some people love those videos, some people hate them. I don't know. But we were talking about Loki, and you were like, ooh, I want to talk about Loki. And you mentioned a few things that I was like, okay, let's definitely include Loki then.
I think this guy's underrated. I'm going to come out and say it. Like, I know you don't see him in the end game basically ever, but I'm honestly really thinking of doing a build with him and just trying him like a one night on stream for Live Arena. And really it all, like, his skill kit is interesting. It's nothing necessarily phenomenal, but there's one thing that he does that nobody else does in the game. And I swear to God, and I've seen this on my free-to-play account, like the freaking passive evade that he has, it's broken. It's so
ridiculously underrated, right?
Yes, it's so absurdly good. Like, and if you read it, and I never really paid attention to it enough when he first launched. I looked at his other skills and I was like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, block active skills, yeah, blah blah blah. Who cares? But then I started facing him in arena on my free-to-play account. I was like, I cannot hit this dude. And he's the only person in the game that does this. And so I just started wondering, like, maybe this could be viable at an end game build for certain comps, because that block active skills actually is really good in some ways. And the fact that he can steal 100% a turn meter is actually nasty, because you can come in there, jack somebody's turn meter, take an immediate turn again, and then drop on the block active skills and place a debuff spread effect potentially if he's under a veil. I don't know. I just think there's something there. But so if I were building him using end game principles, I'm honestly just building him straight up pinpoint, and I'm just building him as fast as is humanly possible with as much accuracy as possible. I'm not worrying about anything else. I think the ideal build for him is like just 9-piece pinpoint if you can build him ultra fast. If you can't do that, then you're probably building him 1-turn stone skin, 4-piece pinpoint. So at least he still has some sheep protection. But with
pinpoint plus evade, right, is what you're getting at.
Like the evade
is like you can't touch this dude.
The evade, and like if you can manage to keep him alive, and again, he does such a good job of doing it himself because everything misses him. Then you get back to these block active skills. It's like he's on a permanent lockout type champion without the cooldown. And here's the thing, that's a better counter for mythicals than cooldown is at this point.
Yeah.
Right. Like as long as you don't have stone skin on the opposing team, where you can debuff spread, and like you'd have to have a champion that strips the stone skin in order to really take advantage of this. So he definitely needs to be used in conjunction with other champs. But I think that evade ability could genuinely make him a real pain in the butt to face in high level arena. So I don't know. This is a theory, by the way.
Yeah,
I am 1,000,000% just throwing it out.
Well, it goes back to our definition of endgame, right? Is like, I think that the top 30% can use this guy a lot more than they do, you know, in the game. You have all the things that you mentioned. I mean, would you consider a feral on this dude? Because you get the block debuffs, which also kind of synergizes with the evade. And the problem is like, man, he's very susceptible to sheep with the block active skills, the block buffs, and the spread that he does. I don't know.
You know,
does the spread? The spread doesn't get. The spread hits polymorph, right? It does, or doesn't.
Oh, that's actually, I can't remember. I don't know. Think it does.
Yeah.
I don't think debuff spread does. It's only the initial.
Okay, that's not that bad then.
The initial thing.
If it's not.
Don't quote me on this though. Somebody remind me, because I honestly forget.
You smell like old people.
I'm gonna ask Saf in the background right now if he's on.
Yeah, like Saf, text him up. Well, because like
he's always the guy. I'm like, Saf, I got a question for you. I don't want to look like an idiot on YouTube.
I think about two Hanorok teams, right? When people use two Hanorok teams in arena where they throw two Hanorok in there and they have like Astrolon with, or you know, irresistible debuffs. I know that his bombs are irresistible for everybody. You know, when you spread that with like Vizier or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if debuff spread actually triggers polymorph.
If it does, maybe probably go consider feral as well. If it doesn't, then just go pinpoint. Is like, who cares, right? I also love a thing about this guy is I love that he brings the increased attack on all allies. Like, it's a weird like extra buff to have, right? He's just a really cool champ. So I'm glad that we mentioned him. Let us know if you guys use Loki the Deceiver, but he didn't get a lot of fanfare out the gate. Oh, Saf doesn't know either. It makes me feel so much better about myself.
Wait, did you actually just message him? That's awesome.
I did. Real-time update.
Oh, that's wow. Okay.
It makes me feel so much better when he doesn't know something, and I'm just like, all right,
for
it's okay.
Sure. I felt like an idiot. I was like, how do I not know this?
All right, then. So we're all on the same page.
I don't use debuff spread very often anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, same. Who does really? You know? Yeah. Okay, tell me about the masteries. Are you just gonna go down and just grab Eagle Eye basically, and just?
Yeah, I think I'm grabbing Eagle Eye for him if I'm building with this, because I want him to have as much accuracy as possible. Not even that like resistance is a big thing at the end game, but again, just minimize your chance of that happening. I'm definitely grabbing, you know, Lore of Steel. I want him faster. I'm getting a Cycle of Magic, so he has a chance to reset those cooldowns. Like anything that's resetting his cooldown and that's giving him more survivability or
Cycle
more
of Magic, so good. Yeah, because it synergizes with everything else. And like, we didn't even mention this. We've spent 20 minutes here on Loki, but like, we didn't even mention that his evade goes up, that all the debuffs are guaranteed if he's under the veil, and he starts out for 2 turns under the perfect veil. I mean, this guy, he's bonkers. And if you are not in game watching, you could just throw him in like Stone Skin Perception, you know, like that's it, you know.
Also, make sure to put what was it, lasting buffs on him? What the heck's it called?
Lasting gifts. Yeah,
lasting gifts. Just because
it should be called lasting buffs, though, Drock.
Lasting buffs. Jesus Christ,
I love it.
Well, because put lasting gifts on him, because if you can get his veil to stay up longer, hypothetically, with an extra turn, then again, he's harder to kill. Like, you're not. If this dude evades everything, I swear to God, I miss this guy in arena all the time on my lower level account. So
hey, here's the deal. Saf got back to me. Confirmed. Debuff spread will not proc polymorph.
Okay,
there we go.
I was right.
There we go. All is good.
That's what I thought.
I should be president or something.
All right. Next up. I'm gonna go with. Let's go with good old Alice. Ooh. You have not messed around too much with Alice, have you? Or have you?
He is literally not built on my account. So teach me the way.
Okay. So Alice. Okay. I actually like this. This is a very polarizing champion here, right? Some people hate her. Some people love her. I think the truth obviously lies somewhere in between, but I actually like her a lot more than most endgame players or creators do so far. What I like, I have her in Savage and in Stone Skin. The problem with Alice, though, is, especially for, because everybody gets her, right, is you want there's one of those champions, Drock, where you want everything, right? You want attack, you want speed, she's a lockout. You want damage, she's a nuker. You need accuracy, she's a lockout. So she's kind of tough to build, only in the sense that you want everything on Alice, right? So I like her in Savage and Stone Skin, because you don't want to leave the damage totally off the table. Her Queen Slayer can ignore defense, and it has surplus damage, and it's a pretty nice ability. And on the A2, on her TikTok, her passive, anytime she kills anybody, she resets the cooldown of one of her skills. So if you go in, she's magic affinity, so if you go in with the AoE on the A2 and you kill a Sun Wukong, which is easy to do, you can go right back in with the A2 again and re-lock out everybody, right? So there's some potential there. She also has turn meter decrease, kind of a mini warlord on the A2, but it's cool that you can go back to back. So what I like to do is, I've already made a whole video or two about it, so I won't belabor the point here, but I really think it's pretty essential to run her with an increased accuracy champion on the same team, if you have one, like a Skeletor, like for an accessible one, like an R-Bias for a best case scenario, right? Get the increased attack, the increased accuracy, and the turn meter boost. That's really gonna help you alleviate the speed, the accuracy, and the attack when you have all those pieces on the team. So these are the masteries that I went with. Helm Smasher, pretty basic build here, and the accuracy masteries. But overall, so you haven't tried her out much, you said?
I haven't, but her kit looks really freaking good. I'm surprised people are not like, everyone's not universally like, oh yeah, what a sick free champion.
Well, some people I saw, like, I don't want to name names, but some creators were like, yeah, she's just like a worse version of like an Alika or a Basher. But I think she's quite a bit better because she can get back to her abilities like so much faster, right? And she
3-turn cooldown. Yeah.
Oh. So I like her a lot. I think a lot of players are going to enjoy her. Is she like a top top lockout in the game? No. I mean, obviously I'll take Warlord and Yumeko, and Crixia is way over her, but I think she's a great addition to the game personally. So that's my favorite build on her. I could see early game players maybe just going all out speed and accurate, like perception, and just trying to build her as fast as possible for progression in the arena, for Great Hall farming, and just putting crit rate or crit damage gauntlets on her, but just building her all out fast and sacrificing some of that ignored defense on the Savage. But anyway, that's my Alice thoughts and build. You're up next. You want to go Ronda?
Yeah, let's go Ronda. I'm so enamored with Alice because I haven't had a chance to build her. So I was like looking at Alika versus Alice, and so okay, I can understand on some levels, like, because apparently Alika, I didn't realize that a 3-turn cooldown on her.
She has a 3-turn cooldown, but you just can't. She doesn't have that reset. She doesn't have the turn meter depletion.
Yeah, she doesn't have the turn meter depletion. Yeah.
I like Alika. I feel like I'm like hating on Alika, and I like Basher. He's void affinity. It's nice to have the affinities not matter, but I think that Alice just brings a lot more to the table overall. But all right, it's Ronda time, bro. It's Ronda time.
It's Ronda, baby. Ronda Rousey. And
I love her Glacial Fury skin. I don't have it. Do you?
I do not have it either. I actually don't have any skins that we couldn't get for free. I've never bought a skin in this game.
Okay.
Which is
I haven't bought much. Only Still the Drakes. I think maybe Trunda too. But anyway,
okay, Still the Drakes makes sense for you though. That was your all time.
Oh, Arbiter too. I have bought a few, I guess.
Dry January, baby.
And about 20 others. No, I'm sure.
Took my skin, and now I want to sleep forever.
All right. I actually forgot if they were on sale or if I bought them or if I got them somehow, but I have the skins. Yeah.
You got them on sale, if anything. You got it.
I don't have some Wukong's skin. I don't actually like his skin that much.
No, I'm not a fan of his skin. I like his original one.
Ronda, though, is cool. I don't use her that much anymore because you only have so much gear to go around.
Yeah.
But in a way, she really does counter almost everything going on in the meta right now.
Yeah.
What do you think of her?
She really does. She really does. I think she has more value now with the, bringing in Pinpoint than she had before. The biggest problem with Ronda was you tried to use her against Ataris and you just got sheeped. You know what I mean? Like, story of our lives. Champion that's meant to counter some of these things, and you couldn't actually get her to place block passive skills because sheep, and then suddenly you're losing a fight. So you can build her now. There are two really, obviously, like the normal way people do is like, okay, 1-turn Stone Skin, Savage or Lethal. Let's get her damage up. Let's make her nasty. And I think that's viable for sure. But honestly, I almost think I'd rather build her in 1-turn Savage or Lethal, 1-turn Pinpoint. And that's specifically because I'd want to use that block passive skills ability on champions like Marichka, Taurus, etc., and like deploy her strategically to try to counter those type of enemy teams in the arena. So that's how I'm rolling. I'm building her really fast. Yep. Definitely building her fast. She's got to be fast like Sun Wukong. Same kind of concept.
You're looking 300 plus in the end game minimum.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay.
Absolutely 300 plus bare minimum. And like the other thing that gets underrated or discounted with her is she actually has more survivability than people realize because of her passive, where she puts a shield on herself at the start of each round, which, you know, can help a little bit when it comes to surviving. Maybe
40% is pretty significant. I mean, she has low HP, but still, it's not bad. Yeah.
It's not bad. And also the fact that you can't decrease her turn meter is kind of a big deal, you know, when her skills are not on cooldown, right? When her A3 is not on cooldown. So that's something that gets overlooked a lot. But I think the way you use this champion nowadays is you get her ultra fast, you get her in that pinpoint, you use her on a team where you think you can go first, if we're talking live arena, and you have a buff stripper in one of those first two spots. So like a Shuzen into a Galathier buff strip or into a Kaimar buff strip or whatever else. And that way, if you can take the stone skin off the enemy, you blast them with that passive like triple hitter and just cook them. That's how I would use her.
It's, you know what, like block active skills is probably one of the most underrated, or block passive skills rather, but both of them, but block passive skills, it's hard to get obviously, but man, it's so, I think even more than sheep, bro, this is sacrilege to you, but I hate having my champions under block passive skills. It's the most annoying thing ever. Like, you're just like, because so many champions utility are all predicated on their passive skills nowadays. That it's just like, what have you done to my team? You know? All right, I'm gonna go rapid fire for our last two here. I got Skeletor. Listen, endgame players don't build Skeletor. I'm just kidding. How they build him, they don't build him. But I will say that this guy actually grew on me, man, in a recent video. He's not, I actually comboed him a lot with Alice because he brings the increased accuracy. He also decreases turn meter, right, on the same ability. It's not like a broken, you know, it doesn't feel like a legendary open move, to be fair, but it's not bad, right? And then I love it's just weird. Something about him. His kit reads awful, and he isn't the best. But the petrification single target placement, like he can place the petrification. It's so handy, you know. Like you know, we're used to Arbias and Mithrala placing it on passives RNG, but to just go in there and be like petrified, boom. It's a really powerful CC, obviously. So you put those two together, and then the passive is kind of interesting as well, because he's doing so much in terms of the debuffs and the CC on the A2 and the passive. I like him in feral gear if you have it. You know, I like him very fast as a control basically, or an open or a stage setter with the turn meter decrease, the increased accuracy, and then go back in and petrify somebody. So I like Skeletor in feral gear, or otherwise probably just in pinpoint and perception or speed. You know, something like that. But yeah, he's a kind of a, you know, maybe it's just I'm a sucker for were you a He-Man fan as a kid, or?
Oh, bro, absolutely. Okay. I've got to dress up as an on stream at some point. So yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, dude. I like Skull. I don't think he's a great legendary, but I think he's maybe a bit better than I gave him credit for in the very early days when I'm like literally not even an epic on this guy. You know. You want to close things out with Rathalos?
Yeah, let's close it out. I said, hey, let's throw this guy in here.
Yeah. How can we not? He's a PvE dude, but he's a hard hitter, that's for sure.
He is. And you know what? For like the free to play mid game accounts, this dude does work. And I'm here
even in the arena, frankly.
Yeah, dude, I use him in arena every match on my free to play. No joke. He is one of my main damage dealers. I think overall, I still love the Slayer set on Rathalos. I mean, I use that. That's probably one of my personal favorites, just because the ability to get your turn meter back. And like, if you think about throwing him into like PvE content, Spider, anywhere where you're hitting a bunch of different people, he gets his turn meter back.
Gets back to that A2.
Yeah. It gets back to the A2. The fact that A2 can ignore 100% of a boss's defense, it just makes it absolutely smack. And the passive coming in where every 5 abilities or 5 turns, he starts doing absurd damage. Like, that would be my only complaint, is I don't know when that's happening sometimes.
Right.
Like 1 to 5. Oh God, what?
We've all been there, bro. It's like all of a sudden, like you'll be in PvE auto or something, and Rathalos would be like 10 million damage. I'm like, what the hell? You know?
Holy smokes! Did I count that one wrong? You know what I mean? So like that's the one part of his kit that I wish they'd make more apparent because it is so sick. But I love the Slayer build on him. I mean, obviously, any damage dealer 9-piece merciless, if you can do it, do it. It's always nasty. It's disgusting. But I think for me, Slayer's the way to go. I don't know. I've done that on my free-to-play account from day one, basically, with him, or pretty short after day one, and he's absolutely been a hard carry the entire time I've had him.
All right, man. I love that. I love this Slayer set call out to wrap up the video, but it doesn't have to end there, guys. Let us know how you build any of these champions. Let us know who's your favorite. If you agree with our assessments or disagree, we'd love your feedback in the comments. And you can go check out the video that we did on Drock's channel talking about our best and worst of 2024 and our expectations for 2025. Drock, thanks for joining me, man.
Dude, such a pleasure as always, Ash. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. And as always, take care, guys.